Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Greenside Up. I'm going to do a little mini tour today around the plot. I thought I'd let you see where the crops are up to and then we'll go from there. Just a quick little tour. So I'm right down the front of the plot and this first bed is multi-sown leeks. I think there's two varieties in here. I know one is Musselburgh. If I can find out what the other one is, I'll flash it up on the screen. And I've got celeriac here. I don't think anything much is going to come of this year. But anyway, it's there. We'll see what happens. So we'll move on up. So these leeks are looking really good. I say they are multi-sown, but you can see down here they're thickened up quite well. I'm going to get a lovely crop out of this through this winter, and that's what they're for. They're through the winter. Crop for me. Anyway, moving up to the next bed. These are the Carling peas that Pauline kindly sent me. They're growing away well. You can see flowers on them there, and they're wicked with pods now. So we're going to get some Carling peas to dry, as it's a northern tradition. And at the end, we've got some Blauhild peas. One or two flowers coming on that, and no pods that I could see this morning when I looked. But they won't be far away. You could do it a week's warm weather really, and they'll be off and running. So moving up the next two beds, we've got purple sprouting broccoli here and a selection of kale plants. These were just recently planted, and again these are for over winter and for through the hungry gap next year. This next bed up had some onions in this, so this is empty, just needs a little bit of a weed down the bottom there. Then I'm going to put some more compost on this and then plant it up again for winter. And I've got some Savoy cabbage and some cauliflower to go in there, maybe even some lettuce as well. We'll see what the space is like. But those plants are all ready to go. They're in the large tunnel. Next bed up, carrots. Somebody asked me the other day how my carrots outside were doing. Well, here you go. These are doing quite well. I only thinned these out about a week, 10 days ago, and they're all mostly stood back up again, because thinning carrots really wrecks them, as I'll show you in a minute elsewhere. But as I was thinning those, I was getting salad-sized carrots out. So they're coming on well and should be cropping well through the autumn, hoping. On the end here, we've got the butter beans that John kindly sent me. John up there in Norfolk. And he did warn me, he said they grow really tall. So I put some temporary canes in when I first planted them. They quickly overtook them. I put some more canes in, and the tops of those canes are 7 foot, and you can see the plants are wanting to get beyond that. But we've got flowers on them. The bees, which hopefully you can see, there's one just inside there now. The bees are absolutely loving them. And we have got a few bean pods starting, so that's brilliant. So many thanks for that, John, and also many thanks to Pauline for the Carling peas. Sorry I mentioned you, but I didn't say thank you. Now in this bed, again we had onions early season, and I just threw this squash in here, greenside up as you do, to see if we can get one. It was a very late planting, and that's just going to romp away down there. Hopefully we'll get some fruits, and the variety is Ichiki Curry. I'll write that on the screen or in the description somewhere so you can see it. Next bed up is sweet corn. This is ready. We'll be picking this week. 2 minutes before I go home, pull a couple of cobs off and straight home. There we go. So they're all ready. Very pleased about them. Now the mess you might have seen over there is the potato harvest. That's a bit of a mess. Anyway, enough about that. Top bed on the other side, Brussels sprouts. These are doing really well. These have been treated with BT a couple of times, and they will get a couple of more treatments yet. Every time I find a caterpillar on them, they get another spray. Now, let's go round this lot. In this next bed, we've got Swedes for winter. I haven't even looked at these yet. I don't know if they're ready or starting to bulb up or whatever, but they're through the winter. And here's those late planted Monge 2 peas. As you can see, we've got a few flowers coming now, so it won't be long before we're eating them, and that's perfect timing as far as I'm concerned. In the next bed, we've got the 3 butternut squash plants. Now, I mentioned in earlier videos about these how they can eat you out of house and home, and I'll explain briefly how they grow. The plant will grow out as a vine, and at every leaf node you'll get a leaf coming out, and you get a side shoot, and you'll get a flower, and you'll get one of these tassely things. And for every little side shoot, and you can see there's one just here now, little side shoot just there, that will become a mini-me of the main vine. So you have the main vine, and then you have secondary vines that come off the main vine, and then off the secondary vine you have more side shoots coming, and they're called tertiaries. They're your third ones, and very quickly they can eat you out of house and home if you're not careful, if you're growing in a restricted space like I am. And you can see I've been training these, I've been taking out tertiaries, and you can see that they're spilling out onto the floor. I have left them deliberately just to show you, but again you can see down here it's spilling out onto the floor and also coming out the top. And what I simply do now, chop them. If you can't actually get into the plant without damaging it, just chop the ends of those vines off to prune it back. You're not going to harm the plant. You've got all this leaf growth, but what you want to do is discourage more leaf growth because you want fruit now. So that's important to keep on top of your pruning of these. If you start to get an area within this lot where the leaves start to go very yellow and start to die off, you can always train one of those tertiaries into that area to grow the leaf, because the leaf photosynthesizes and will help your fruit grow. And you can see just in there, there's one that's just starting to form. So now that I've just chopped the end of that plant off, that shoot, that should start to bulk up, and there'll be others inside there. I've no idea how many, I haven't really looked. Anyway, salad bed is next. And the lettuces are doing what they've done all year for me, running to seed again, most of them. So we had a last picking of them last night. And down the end here we've got some spring onions to use. And I've left some spring onions here, and I've also left an earlier sowing of radish. You can see it's heavily in flower, and they're full of pods. Now, I've never actually done this either with onions or with radish. Left them to go to seed to see when's the best time to collect them, to see how viable they are and worthwhile saving. So it's another little trial experiment for me to have a look at that. So it's something new to learn, a new skill. Yeah, bit of a mess, but I don't care, just want to know. So that's pretty much where we're up to outside at the moment. As many of you will know from the last few videos, I've been doing a bit of planting in here, filling up the bare soil. So this is Komatsuna, to Japanese mustard, I think. Some pak choi over there. They're just filling in some areas. I've got some kale underneath this lot, and some Chinese cabbage underneath these tomatoes here. I've lifted these tomato trusses up off the soil out the way, and we've been picking these fruits down here. We've had 2 or 3 pickings off this, and look, there's still hundreds left on that truss, and they're gorgeous. They're really, really, really lovely. So if you've never tried this variety called Ildi, I-L-D-I, I fully recommend it. Have a go with them next year. Put that one in your book for one to grow, because we'll go down here and just have a look at this. Look at this for flowers. Isn't this ridiculous? That's 2 plants. The trusses on 2 plants. And when you're getting little tiny plum-shaped tomatoes that are absolutely gorgeous in salads. I mean, I took a load home yesterday and showed my Anne, and she sat there eating them like sweets. But yeah, these are absolutely fantastic. And I say, there's a couple of fruits starting on this side as well. So yeah, I mean, you can see the size of them, but they are fantastic, they really are. So I'll be putting a few plants of them in next year for sure. Cucumbers on the end here, and then I've got spare plants down here. I've got some kales. My onions are nearly ready to go up home, and up here we've got some plants. I think this is a Savoy cabbage. Got some herbs here, modules, more Savoy cabbage. No, is that Savoy cabbage? Might be cauliflower. That's Savoy cabbage. There's the salad stuff here to go out. Spare Komatsuna plants, which are the ones I planted down here, and seedlings. I've got some more lettuce seedlings coming through there, and they'll eventually rock on from those plants. Right, we're going to have a quick look in the little tunnel. So straight inside the door in the little tunnel is a nice little area of spinach, and it's spinach up to about here going across roughly, and then this little area is rocket lettuce. I'm hoping to transplant some of these. We'll see how we go with that, but yeah, that's a lovely, that should fill us in between those lettuces that are now bolting. I've got a supply for this next week of lettuce at home in the fridge, and I'll be planting out the others also either today or tomorrow, so they'll get going. But in the meantime, between that new stuff growing and us running out at home, we've got this rocket to go at, and we'll just eat great big handfuls of that, no problem at all. I've got some this here in my little seed bed, lots and lots of seeds coming. I'm very thankful at the moment, because the fennel is just starting to come through. I didn't think it was going to show, but it is. And I've got all kinds of the Asian greens in here, and some chard, and plenty more broccoli. All this needs to be potted on, planted out, or whatever. Melons over here, these are some courgette plants that I just never got around to planting. I've got a couple of melon plants here just sprawling along the floor. I think I still prefer them growing up a structure. This was just a trial this year. I just wanted to see how they did, and I just don't like the space they take up. I mean, 2 melon plants there is taking up half a bed, but if I grew them up structures, I could use half a bed and get 6 plants in. So I suppose if you've got the space for it, then it'll work. Massive courgette plant here. Got a few fruits on there as usual. We all know what courgettes are like. So there we go, that's the little tunnel. Now we'll skirt over this area really quickly because I'm quite disappointed with it, but that's another story. But yeah, all my dahlias are here, and you can see now I'm actually getting some flowers. So over this next, towards the end of this month, we'll have vases of dahlias. We've got sweet peas coming as well, so it's not as bad as I first reported. But anyway, into this new tunnel, we'll have a look what's going on in here. Tomato plants still doing very well. Not much going on in the ripening stakes with tomatoes. Did have a little harvest of the aubergines out yesterday. We're going to be making some food up with that and freezing it this week. We've got some French beans growing up here. We've got flowers on them, so we'll have pods off this soon as well. So these tomatoes are doing incredibly well in here, considering they were all planted really late. Down here, Crimson Crush tomatoes, and these tomatoes on this side, which are now nearly as tall as me, which is 3 foot nothing. They're nearly as tall as me. These are all the Crimson Crush that I grew on from side shoots. Again, fruit on there, and I think once the crop in front of it comes out, which I'll show you in a second, they will all start to ripen, as will the tomatoes on this side. Because what we've got here is my baby sweet corn, and it has, as I said it would, or it has, as I said it had in the past for me, it's hit the blooming roof. I mean, that's ridiculous, because that's about 8.5 foot up there. But we're going to get a little harvest off that, and it was only a bit of a play. Threw some seed in the ground and this is what we've got. A little bit of melons in here. There are 4 plants in here, and to be honest, I haven't looked after them at all. I haven't really. I should have been in there tying them up, taking off the side shoots, and I just have not bothered or have not had the time. But I'm just going to run with it and see. We might get 1 or 2 melons by the end of the season. Probably not, but ever the optimist me. So there we go. That's the new tunnel, and this is a very poor effort. Remember, some of you will remember, I made a shout out at the start of the year for the Builders Bucket Challenge. Well, here's a couple of my efforts. This one here with beans in, and this one here with beans. I've got another one at the front of the plot with squash in it, and they've all been terrible. We've had lots of weather this year, mostly the wrong stuff at the wrong time and in the wrong blooming order, and it's really played havoc for everyone across the country, and I think even internationally people have suffered as well. So yeah, it's just been a very poor year, but a lot of the crops have done very well. So today's job is thinning these carrots here in the polytunnel. There's quite a forest come up and they need thinning, and this is just a mess I leave behind after I've done it. They're thinned. Over the next sort of 2 or 3 days they'll pick up, so I've got the rest of that bed to do and then move on and do this one, and then we should be good to go. Well, I'm just going to have a quick coffee and I'm going to carry on thinning those carrots out. I want to get them finished off today. If I've got time, I'll get onto that bed out there. Otherwise it'll be a tomorrow job. We'll see. We'll have to see what the weather's doing, because I know we've got quite a bit of rain coming in this week, which is good. We need it, but it does hamper the work outside. Still, skin's waterproof. So anyway, if you want to follow what I'm doing, there's a big red button down there, the subscribe button. If you hit that and subscribe and then hit the bell next to it, select all, then every time I post a new video you'll get a notification that I've done so, and you can get in there and see it, and keep up to date with these crops that I'm planting and I'm harvesting, and you won't miss anything. So hit the button, hit the bell, there you go, job done. It won't bite you and it's free of charge as well, so there you go. Subscribe. Cheers, thanks. Anyway, that's it for today. Look after yourselves, everyone. Please stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.